This is Gabe's first camping trip, and we're right here in our own backyard, so it could get a little wild.
Who's inside the big tent?
Out here and in the kitchen. Let me share a secret recipe. Discover an ingredient that fires your imagination. Choose other flavors to match. Find the best way to cook them.
Simple is best.
My secret recipe? Cooking without a recipe.
You can do it too.
It's a big day around here. We're taking Gabe camping for the first time. Of course, we're just out in the backyard, but for him, it'll still be an adventure. I've been camping and cooking outside my entire life. I've definitely learned a thing or two about what works best. The biggest lesson I've learned, keep it simple. And that's where salmon comes in. It's so easy to cook. I'm going to wrap it in tin foil, and later I'll just simply throw it right on the grill. It'll cook within the tin foil. It'll steam, it'll bake, it'll take on lots of flavors. Now, I find it helps to double up the tin foil, so here's what I do. Just simply lay one piece on top of the other, then crimp along one edge. Just fold it up like this. Fold it a couple of times. You've got to have airtight seals on these babies. Just like that. And then open it up like this. And now I've got a double wide piece of tin foil, but I still don't have any flavors to put in there other than the salmon. I know where to go looking, though. Today I'm working with salmon, which will suck up just about any flavor out there. And I've also got some bean sprouts. I think I'm going to put the bean sprouts and salmon together. So that's got me thinking about Asian flavors, like sesame oil. Nice, strong, toasted sesame flavor here. I think I'll make a marinade for the works. And I'll need some soy sauce, some salt to balance it a bit. And of course, some form of sugar, some honey. That'll help balance off the soy sauce. I've got some other flavors that'll go nicely with that salmon, too. Some cilantro, some green onions. There's my bean sprouts, a couple of limes. I'll simply toss all these flavors together, then I'll pop the bean sprouts into the foil with the salmon. There's going to be a lot of flavor in there. There's also going to be a lot of heat and steam in there, which isn't so good for green onions and cilantro. They're going to lose a lot of their freshness. You know what? I've got a better way to get these exact same flavors into that package. White onions and coriander seed. This is actually the seed that cilantro grows from. Very similar flavor. And white onions, of course. There's no color there to lose anyway. I wanted to use onions because they're so pungent. They'll add a nice savory richness to this salad. Big splash of soya. And some sesame oil, but not very much sesame oil. This stuff is very strongly flavored. And some honey to help balance off that soya. And then I'll need something acidic, some lime juice. And like any time I'm using citrus, I always take the time to get the zest off, get that oil, get all that free flavor on the outside. And of course, the honey's also going to help balance off the sourness of these limes. And now for the coriander seed, which is going to need to be ground. It isn't a whole form right now. It'll always taste better than the store-bought pre-ground stuff that sometimes tastes stale. Boy, does that ever smell good. Right now I can really smell the sesame oil. That stuff is so strong. Okay, now I'll just put this all together. I'll start with half of it on the bottom, just like that. I'll put the fish on top of it. And then I'll put the other half on top of the fish. And that way, when I fold the foil up into a nice, neat package, the salmon won't actually be touching the foil. The bean sprouts will help protect it from the direct heat of the fire. Now, if you've ever been camping, chances are you've heard of GORP, spelled G-O-R-P, stands for Good Old Raisins and Peanuts. It's a high-energy, nutritious snack that's perfect for outdoors. So I always start with something like granola and kasha. There's 7 different grains in here that have been puffed up. Corn isn't the only grain that puffs. Just think of this as grain popcorn. I've also got some sunflower seeds, lots of flavor, lots of texture. Of course, the raisins. Some dried apricots, that'll be good. Dried fruit is loaded with energy. Some coconut. And what else? Oh, I know, because I'm such a nice dad. Some chocolate chips, Gable like that. And it's ready already. It sure beats potato chips and sitting on the couch. Now let's see, I've got a snack ready, my salmon's ready. What else am I going to put on that campfire menu?
You're going to hit it. Okay, stay there.
It's a big adventure today for Gabe. It's his first camping trip. He's just out in the backyard, but he's loving it. And of course, to be authentic, we'll be cooking dinner today over a campfire. I began the salmon with bean sprouts. I tossed them with onions, soya, sesame oil, honey, and lime. Then I layered the sprouts and salmon together and wrapped them in foil. I love potato salad. And the best way to add flavor to a potato salad is with some bacon. I'm simply going to slice this up and start crisping it. If I was in my restaurant kitchen, I'd call these lardons. They're really just bacon bits. Now, it's pretty easy to crisp up bacon, but here's a trick to make it even easier. Add a splash of water to the pan first, and then start simmering away. And while I wait for it, I'll get my potatoes ready. I'm going to use red potatoes today. I love these little babies. They're so sweet. Their flavor is awesome. They've got thin skin, so you don't have to peel them. And best of all, when you roast them, they keep their shape. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to roast them. Lots of flavor. I'm cutting them in half to open up more surface area. More surface area for browning, more flavor. Also, when you cut them, they don't roll around as easily. Okay, that should do it. This bacon is doing what's known as rendering. It's releasing all of its fat. And once it does, then the water will boil away, the fat will start to raise in temperature, and the bacon will brown. And I'm saving the bacon fat because the bacon fat is going to flavor the potatoes. Lots of flavor in there. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'll simply take that bacon fat, toss it back into the pan, not all of it, about half of it, and add the potatoes. And then toss the pan to get the bacon fat mixed up with the potatoes. I want each and every one of those potatoes to be covered in a little bit of bacon fat because the next step is to start them roasting. Here's another good one for a campfire. Kebabs. But you know, these are wood, and that is a fire down there, so you've got to be careful. I've seen a lot of skewers get ruined on fires because the wood caught on fire. There's a very simple solution for that, of course. Just soak them in water. Doesn't take very long, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and they're ready to go. Or you could use metal ones if you have them. In fact, there's a whole lot of different gadgets available for cooking and camping these days. When you're headed for the hills, weight matters, so experienced campers leave the fluff at home and stick to the basics. The challenge is to get the most out of what you have with efficient gear. No gadgets or gizmos, just hardcore field-proven tools. Like skewers. I can jab just about anything onto these and fire roast away. They're easy to use, easy to clean, and they're light. Pack a few of these and you won't need to pack a heavy pan. Now, if you're packing a sleeping bag, a tent, and a paper bag, that means you're planning on going to sleep, and that means you're planning on waking up. And for that, you're going to need coffee. And for that, you'll need hot water, a pot, a pan, or a kettle. Some even come with their own built-in percolators. That's everything you need to open a campfire cafe. Now, no self-respecting chef shows up at the campfire without their trusty sidekicks. A seasoning kit, salt, pepper, curry, cayenne. Hey, I love these things, light and easy. And of course, a good knife. Because a good knife can slice, it can dice, it can gut a can. Heck, you can even pitch a tent with a good knife. You can even fillet a wine bottle. Now, if things don't work out for you al fresco, just pick up one of these handheld GPS units. 5 satellites will show you the way to the nearest takeout. When you're making vegetable skewers, just about any vegetable under the sun will work. But it's always a good idea to make sure that the relative thickness of the vegetables are all the same. That way they cook together. See how those are all basically the same size? That way I don't end up with one that's overcooked and one that's raw. Check this out. Some nice ripe pineapple. This will grill up perfectly. Pineapple's got so much sugar in it, it caramelizes in no time. Hey, anything I can do to get Gabe eating vegetables and fruit is a good thing in my book. Now, to get these ready for the grill, it's always a good idea to splash a little oil on, some olive oil if you have it. Right onto the pineapple, too. It's not going to hurt it one bit. And those are ready to go on the grill. And so is my salmon. The potatoes are still roasting. When they're done, I'm going to jazz them up a bit, turn them into a salad. I think it's time to fire the fire.
Okay, not too close. Oh, that's...
Gabe's enjoying his first ever camp out, and I'm enjoying getting ready to cook out with him. Of course, I'm keeping it simple because the last place you want to get complicated is a campfire. I've actually got some salmon folded up in a package with a bed of bean sprouts tossed in sesame oil, soya, honey, and lime juice. They'll grill up nicely. And I think my potatoes are almost done. Oh yeah. Look at those. Now I'm going to turn those into a salad. Of course, I'm going to need a dressing, and I've got a good idea for that. Some parsley. I'll throw the stems in too. There's a lot of flavor in those stems, and they're not that tough. They're kind of tender, actually. They'll puree up easily. Now, to help get that rolling, some olive oil. You know what? I got to jazz it up a little bit. I need some red wine vinegar and a red onion. I'm just going to put a little touch of acid in there. The parsley's pretty sweet, so a little bit of sourness will help balance out all that sweetness. Not too much, a tiny, tiny bit. That should do it right there. What else will I need? Some capers. There we go. And while I'm at it, some mustard too. Roast potatoes and capers. They'll go great with these potatoes. And the red onion. Big heaping spoonful of grain mustard. I prefer the grain mustard because it's not quite as sharp as Dijon-style mustards. It's got more flavor, too, because the whole grains are in it. Oops, I almost forgot. I've got crisp bacon, too. There we go. Now that's what I call a potato salad. Freezer bags are one of the keys to success at campouts. No muss, no fuss. You can put anything in them, and who cares if you lose it? Roast potato salad. Things are really shaping up. I've got a salad, I've got salmon, I've got some skewers. The only thing missing here is a dessert. And if you're serious about camping out, there's really only one dessert on the menu: s'mores. Graham crackers, chocolate, but I do have some homemade marshmallows. I make these all the time, and besides, they're so simple to make. First, make simple syrup by warming water and sugar. Meanwhile, sprinkle gelatin over a bit more water. Then add to the warm syrup, stirring until melted. Pour the gelatin mixture into the stand mixer and add corn syrup and vanilla. Beat at high speed until it triples in volume and forms soft peaks. Transfer to a lightly oiled pan and let set until cool and firm. Cut into cubes and refrigerate. Hey!
Daddy's here. Look what he's got.
Are you getting the table already?
Yeah.
I'm going to start cooking, okay? I got all the food in here. My fire's burning down nicely, which is perfect, because I actually need coals, not flame. Flame burns food, but coals, on the other hand, coals are straight heat. That's what I'm looking for. Perfect. That's probably going to take about 15 minutes or so to cook. I'll know when it's done because all the liquid inside will start bursting into steam and the package will actually start to poof up a bit. I built this fire out of birch wood, a nice hardwood. Hardwoods are perfect for campfires, mainly because they burn hot and the smoke is very flavorful. I just love cooking for my family. But of all the different types of cooking I get to do, this is my favorite. Cooking over an open campfire. It's just so real. And of course, the food always tastes great.
Open it.
Oh, grape juice.
To finish things up tonight, it's all about these s'mores. There's lots of different ways to do these, but here's one of the easiest. I simply make up a little sandwich like that, my graham crackers, some chocolate in there. I'll pop these on the fire at the last minute. Now, these kebabs are done and looking good, too. Lots of caramelized vegetables there. Just pop these in here. I just know Gabe's going to like these. And if he doesn't, no worries, I'll eat them all. Okay, now that I've got some free room on my grill, time to fire those pineapples. These are going to taste awesome, too. Pineapples have so much sugar in them. They're going to caramelize and roast up nice. Campfire-style pineapple. And now for the main event. Look at that. That's one of the neatest things about tinfoil. It's easy to pick up without burning your fingers. And now I've got some room on the grill for my s'more sandwiches. Pop those there. Those will be ready in no time. Let's see how this ended up tasting. Wow, strong lime flavor. Boy, that lime zest really kicked in there. That salmon tastes like lime perfume. I love it. You know, it's not every day that cooking's such an adventure. Or is it? These are just great ingredients, prepared simply with a bit of adventure thrown in. That's the way I cook inside. And you can too when you cook without a recipe, because no matter where you're cooking, dinner always tastes better when you're having fun. Ooh, that looks good.
What color plate do you want, Gabe?
Oh.
Wow.
You want to hold it?
I want to put in my ball.
Want some salmon, Mommy? Look at that, huh?
Wow. Yum. Look at that.
1, 2, 3 bites.
Is that good? All right.
Smoky over there, Gabe? It's better over here.
And the salmon was wrapped up with bean sprouts, some onions. I put lime juice in it.
That's really nice. Very flavorful.
You want to go sit by the fire and have a treat?
What's you got in there?
Treat in here.
This one's for Gabe. Big bite.
Real marshmallows.
Say 1, 2, 3, go.
Go, go, go. Boy.